Good morning, this is Gene Thorpe, Little Red Rooster TV. Here we are with, as I said the other day in the Vox amplifier section, we're going to start dealing in smaller amps. But I'm going to tell you the story of the Standel, this particular Standel amplifier, and then I want to talk about Standel amplifiers and the history, how they fit into the history of music in the United States. A really interesting story. But this particular amplifier was at one point owned by the late, great Ron Behringer. We're going to put a picture of him up on the screen. I believe somebody gave it to him, and then he gave it to Aaron Burke. And Aaron Burke, who's a local musician, wonderful musician, had it for a number of years, maybe 10 or 15 years, and it broke, and he called me up and asked me if I wanted it, and I did, and not for myself, but for the last 7 years, and actually all the way since 1968, I've played with Alan Purdy. And Alan, back in the day that he was in the Fugitives, had an amplifier just like this, and we talk often about getting another Standel 215 bass amp, which is what this is. This is one of the later incarnations of the Standels. So this thing is probably going to take $300 or $400 worth of repair, and then in order to bring it to its natural status, it will need JB Lansing speakers, probably the D130 Series 15s or D140s. The D130 15-inch JBLs. Well, okay, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Standel amplifiers started way back in 1952 and 1953 when Paul Bigsby, who is the inventor of the Bigsby vibrato that you see on all of the Gretsch guitars, and I should actually pull the Gretsch out at some point and show that. I'll take a picture of it and put it up also. Paul Bigsby was one of the leading guitar builders in Southern California. He built guitars for Joe Maphis and Speedy West and various different people. He also built components for motorcycles, and because of his mechanical ability, he developed the whammy bar. And one of the versions of the whammy bar, which is still sold and used all over the world. We'll do an article on them in the future. And by the way, I would love to invite you to subscribe and ring the bell, so every time we have a new video that you'll be in on it. And anyway, so Bob Crooks was contacted by Paul Bigsby to build an amplifier for the Bigsby Guitar Company as their amplifier line. And he actually paid him in advance to do it. And Bob Crooks was an engineer, and so he developed a tube amplifier, but he was kind of a high fidelity guy. Many guys that are high fidelity guys that try to build musical instrument amplifiers make them too flat and too perfect, which was part of the evolution that Bob Crooks went through. He built the first amplifier, it sounded sterile. Then he got a pedal steel guitar, which was what they used them for primarily back in the day, the very first ones, and took it and voiced the amplifier to match. And then he took it out, and Speedy West, one of the top pedal steel guitar players of the day, used one. He bought one. Joe Maphis was at the concert. He bought one, and many of the top recording engineers actually and studio musicians of the day bought them. And the first incarnation, which were tube amplifiers. And their amplifier company was innovative in many different ways. I'll explain. Back in the early years of amplifiers, the musicians would put the amplifiers out in front of them, and the controls of the amplifier were kind of on the back of the amplifier. So Bob Crooks was the first guy to put the controls of the amplifier on the front of the amplifier. He was also the first guy to ever make the amplifiers illuminate so you could see the controls in a nightclub or whatever. The first amplifier company that ever used JB Lansing speakers. I know we did a little article on JB Lansing. Please check that out. We're going to be doing some more on that. And their speakers and the combination of these amplifiers was definitely the sound. Chet Atkins used them. all of Gene Vincent and the Blue Cap songs, Bebopalula and all of those tunes that were played by Cliff Gallup were played on Standel amplifiers with Gretsch guitars with Paul Bigsby vibrato arms. I mean, it was a small circle down there. Leo Fender hung out with those guys. They knew each other, and the musicians knew each other. It was in Southern California, so you're right there in Hollywood and all of that. So I'm going to curtail this for this period of time and move on. So I'd like to say thank you for tuning in. Please do subscribe. And we're going at about a subscriber a day. We'd like to get to 1,000 by the end of the year, by the first of the year. So subscribe, share this video if you will. And this is Gene Thorpe and Little Red Rooster TV signing out. So this is Standel Part 1. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna repair it. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna also have some pictures of early other Standels. Oh, Wes Montgomery was a great Standel user. Anyway, Gene signing out. Thank you.